Chapter 573 to 574. Homusubi's goal was obviously achieved, because when Sandaime Hokage and Elder Koharu heard that the real Uchiha Madara might still be alive, their expression turned aghast, and they could only stammer, How is this even possible?" Even if they don't consider the issue of age, Uchiha Madara died at the hands of Shodaime Hokage, Senju Hashirama. And even if they assume that Shodaime Hokage made some mistake and did not finish Uchiha Madara, how could Nidaime Hokage, Senju Tobirama, make the same mistake when he went as far as to personally inspect Uchiha Madara's body and confirmed that Uchiha Madara was indeed dead? As the disciples of Nidaime Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Utatane Koharu are very clear about this. Uchiha Madara died at the Battle of the Valley of the End. Sarutobi Hiruzen did not believe that his sensei would make such a low-level mistake, which would allow Uchiha Madara to escape somehow. This is why no matter how much the masked man claimed that he is Uchiha Madara, Sarutobi Hiruzen never once accepted that identity of his. Homusubi chuckled. The Uchiha is an ancient clan that has been in existence for nearly a millennium. The true depths of the Uchiha clan are not something that just about anyone can know. Even your Nidaime Hokage, Senju Tobirama, who knew the Uchiha clan better than the Uchiha clan itself, did not know the true depths of the Uchiha. We have a lot of forbidden jutsus of the kind that can blur the boundaries of life and death, and alter or decide destiny and fool fate. Don't make a mistake by thinking that Uchiha Madara died at the Battle of the Valley of the End. Not only did he not die there, but in fact, he even managed to gain the power of Shodaime Hokage before disappearing. So, if you really ask me who was the true winner of the Battle of the Valley of the End, then undoubtedly it was Uchiha Madara, not Senju Hashirama. Elder Koharu asked with a frowned expression. So, if Uchiha Madara did not die at the Battle of the Valley of the End, then what has he been doing all this time? The first great shinobi war, the second great shinobi war, the third great shinobi war? What was he doing for so many decades? Controlling the shinobi world from the shadows, making the outcomes that he wants to see, all for the sake of whatever purpose he wants to fulfill, answered Homusubi. Elder Koharu's eyes widened in realization. The Akatsuki organization? Was he the one who created it? Homusubi nodded. I suppose that's one way to put it. At this moment, Sandaime Hokage said with a solemn expression, "The nine-tailed demon fox's attack that happened around 8 years ago, was he the one responsible for that too?" Sandaime couldn't help but think so. After all, up until now there has been only one man capable of perfectly controlling the Kyuubi, and that man is undoubtedly Uchiha Madara. At the Battle of the Valley of the End, he used Kyuubi together with his Susanoo. So it wouldn't be strange if that man was also responsible for the nine-tailed demon fox's attack. His objective could have been anything: to take back the Kyuubi for whatever plan he has, or to take revenge on Konoha. Whatever his objective might have been behind the nine-tailed demon fox's attack, he failed in the end, but that came at a cost. At the cost of the death of Konoha's Yondaime Hokage, Namikaze Minato, and the second-generation Jinchuriki of Kyuubi, Uzumaki Kushina. The death of those two was a very big loss for Konoha, and even if more than 8 years have passed since then, Konoha has still not recovered from that loss. Therefore, Sandaime really wanted to know if the person responsible for the nine-tailed demon fox's attack was Uchiha Madara. But it's a pity that Homusubi was not willing to answer each and every question of Sandaime, and said, "Hokage Dono, you have too many questions. Amatsukami is neither obligated to provide such information to the 5 great shinobi villages, nor are we interested," and continued after a pause. "Now let's get back to the why we are here, and you give me the payment. I don't think I need to emphasize the consequences of defaulting our payment, right?" Sandaime quickly waved his hands, and explained, "Don't worry, we will not back away from our end of the deal, and Amatsukami will be given the full payment they were promised. We just want to talk with you. If we are going to establish a cooperative relationship to deal with the threat of the Akatsuki organization, we need to at least understand a few things about who we are working with. That's all." At the Five Kage conference a few days ago, the Five Kage have reached a consensus that only Yama, the leader of Amatsukami, has the strength to check and balance Nagato, the leader of the Akatsuki organization. So, if the five great shinobi villages want to maintain their dominance over the shinobi world, then they have but one choice, and that is to cooperate with Amatsukami. And based on this understanding, the Five Kage have also made a unanimous decision to not do anything that would offend Amatsukami. Because if Amatsukami abandons the five great shinobi villages, then the shinobi world will be done for. So obviously Sandaime Hokage wouldn't be foolish enough to offend Amatsukami over just a few 100 million ryo. At this time, Elder Koharu said from the side, "If your leader Yama is also afraid of Uchiha Madara, it won't be any harm for the Amatsukami organization to cooperate with Konoha." Homusubi lightly glanced at Elder Koharu and said in a taunting tone, "Let go of your arrogance, old hag. You have to get used to the fact that the shinobi world is no longer within the grasp of the five great shinobi villages, and the sooner you learn to start thinking from the perspective of weak people whose lives are never in their hands, then the more you will get to live. Otherwise, you will be squashed like an unknown bug, with no one left to even remember or recall you after your death." Elder Koharu was angered and shouted, "You—" Before Elder Koharu could say or do anything, the five great villages, and more specifically Konoha village, might come to regret in the future, Sandaime Hokage stepped forward to stop her, and then immediately said to Homusubi, "In my capacity as the representative of Konohagakure and the five great shinobi villages, I express my sincere gratitude to the Amatsukami organization for helping us out in the previous two conflicts against the Akatsuki organization." After saying so, he waved his hands to the Anbu commander standing on the side. The Anbu commander nodded, then took out 2 bags from a storage scroll and put them in front of Homusubi. "And here's the payment," Sandaime Hokage said while pointing at the 2 bags. "The 2 bags contain about 150 million ryo each, and the subsequent 245 million ryo will be paid to Amatsukami in installments within the next 3 months." When presented with the payment, Homusubi no longer paid attention to the offended Elder Koharu. She just took out a storage scroll of her own and sealed the 2 bags within the storage scroll. And after doing so, she turned around and started to walk towards the exit of the Hokage's tent. Seeing that Homusubi was about to leave, Sandaime quickly said, "Please wait a moment." Homusubi turned around with a frowned expression under her mask and questioned, "Is there something else?" Sandaime Hokage exhaled a puff of smoke and lowly said, "I don't know if Amatsukami will be willing to accept a commission." "A commission, you say?" Homusubi became interested and questioned, "What does Sandaime Hokage Dono want to be done?" "On the night the Akatsuki organization attacked the village, several children from our village were kidnapped by Orochimaru and Kakuzu of the Akatsuki organization. We want Amatsukami to rescue those children. The village will be willing to pay 25 million ryo each for the rescue of those children, and we are also willing to add an additional 50 million ryo specifically for Uzumaki Naruto because he happens to be the Jinchuriki of Kyuubi," said Sandaime Hokage. Naturally, Konoha village does not place all hopes of rescuing the 4 children on the shoulders of Amatsukami, but Amatsukami's help will undoubtedly increase the probability of rescue of the 4 children, especially the rescue of Uzumaki Naruto, who is not only the child of Yondaime couple, but also the Jinchuriki of Kyuubi. The Kyuubi is very important to the village, so as Hokage, he cannot leave Naruto in the hands of Orochimaru, especially after the Akatsuki organization has repeatedly shown their intention of collecting the 9 Biju. Protecting the Biju and their Jinchuriki has become the top priority of the 5 great shinobi villages, so the rescue of Uzumaki Naruto is very important and urgent. In fact, not only Uzumaki Naruto, but even the rescue of Uchiha Sasuke and Hyuga Hinata is very important, whether from a political point of view or for the sake of the future of the village. As for Hyuga Neji, well, if the village is willing to pay for the rescue of 3 children, then there is no harm in adding 1 more. Homusubi smiled and nodded. The 3 children and the Jinchuriki of Kyuubi, huh? Well, we will pay attention. Sandaime requested helplessly. Then please. In front of Amatsukami, Sandaime can't really afford to show a tough attitude, so all he can do is request politely. The main reason is that Amatsukami is too strong, so strong that Konoha's power or prestige doesn't seem to deter Amatsukami at all. And the second reason is that Konoha owes a favor to Amatsukami, so Amatsukami is their benefactor. If there was no help from Amatsukami in the battle against the Akatsuki organization, then what would have been the consequences? Sandaime dare not imagine. Homusubi nodded lightly, then left the Hokage tent unimpeded. After walking out of the Hokage camp, when Homusubi was about to leave the village, 2 figures appeared before her. Looking at the 2 people standing before her, Homusubi chuckled and greeted the 2. If it isn't the Uchiha Patriarch and the so-called #1 genius of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Shisui of the Body Flicker, I wonder why such famous people have come to me. That's right, the 2 people standing before Homusubi are none other than Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Shisui. Fugaku directly activated his Mangekyu Sharingan and looked at Homusubi, while Shisui, with a helpless face, awkwardly stood beside Fugaku. Fugaku questioned tentatively, "You are Uchiha Tsukihi, are you not?" "Oh my, you realize my identity so easily?" Homusubi was surprised, then said, "I suppose I shouldn't be surprised." Fugaku said with a stern tone, "Uchiha Tsukihi, I may not know who your parent was and how you were born, but since you are an Uchiha, should you not come to the clan where you belong? I can see that you don't harbor any hatred or dissatisfaction towards the clan or the village. As long as you are willing to return, I can..." Before Fugaku could finish speaking, Tsukihi said, "It's not impossible for me to come to the clan, but you will have to give up on the position of the patriarch of the Uchiha clan." Fugaku was surprised by Tsukihi's condition and entered a pondering mode. Shisui was also surprised, but he was more surprised by what Tsukihi said. Will she really come to the clan? In fact, not only Fugaku and Shisui, even Tsukihi herself was surprised. She posed such a condition thinking that Fugaku will immediately refuse, never thought that Fugaku will start to seriously consider such an absurd condition. You really deserve to be the indecisive Uchiha Patriarch. Uchiha Fugaku would subconsciously hesitate on such a critical question. This undoubtedly shows that he, with an indecisive character, is really not a very good candidate for the position of the patriarch of the Uchiha clan, a clan consisting of unruly clansmen who are driven by their emotions. After a while of consideration, Fugaku nodded. "Come to the clan. If you can defeat me and Shisui, the position of the patriarch of the clan is not unnegotiable." Tsukihi smiled and shook her head. "I am sorry, Fugaku-sama. I was just joking with you. Neither am I interested in the position of the Uchiha Patriarch, nor can I become one even if I want to. After all, Uchiha Tsukihi is dead, isn't she? She died for the sake of the Konoha village, right?" Fugaku frowned when he heard Tsukihi's reply. Putting aside the matter of Uchiha Tsukihi's so-called death, when he heard that Tsukihi is not interested in the position of the patriarch, he was helpless. If even the position of the patriarch is not tempting enough for the other party, then he really has no other bargaining chip. At this time, Tsukihi said, "Well, I'll praise you for recognizing my identity and give you a piece of advice. If you wish for the prosperity of your clan, then change your indecisive character Uchiha Patriarch, because this indecisive character will not bring a sense of security to the people around you. Tsukihi's sudden words startled Fugaku, and he can't help but fall into a thoughtful state. Tsukihi found that her words seemed to be doing their job, and continued to walk forward. And just as she was about to pass by Fugaku and Shisui, Fugaku suddenly interrupted her. "Wait, I am here to offer a commission to you." "A commission, you say?" Homusubi was a little interested. Although she guessed what commission Uchiha Patriarch is talking about, she asked nonetheless. "What does Uchiha Patriarch want to be done?" Fugaku took a deep breath and said, "If Amatsukami can help me rescue my younger son Sasuke, I am willing to pay the corresponding remuneration. If Amatsukami can help me rescue my younger son Sasuke, I am willing to pay the corresponding remuneration. Uchiha Sasuke was taken away by the Akatsuki organization, wasn't he? Whether he is dead or alive at this moment is unknown, and even if he is alive, we may not be able to do anything to save that kid." Homusubi refused Fugaku's commission without any hesitation. If there is a chance, Kuroto will naturally go to save Neji and Sasuke, but he doesn't want to make any reckless move, because taking reckless action will not only endanger the lives of those two kids, but his own too. Therefore, Homusubi did not accept Fugaku's commission. As for the question, why did she not accept Sandaime Hokage's commission? Well, because Sandaime Hokage's commission also includes saving Naruto and Hinata from the hands of Orochimaru, which is a much easier task than saving Sasuke and Neji from the hands of the Akatsuki organization. Fugaku's expression changed. He didn't expect Homusubi will directly refuse without even any thought. So after a while of thinking, he said again, "I have a piece of information that will definitely interest you. If Amatsukami is willing to help me rescue my son, I am willing to share this valuable information with you." Homusubi frowned. "What information?" She was unable to figure out what kind of information would be so valuable that it would tempt even the Amatsukami to help Fugaku. "Position of Akatsuki organization's new base," said Fugaku while looking at Homusubi with a calm expression. Fugaku's eyes were showing his confidence that Homusubi will definitely be interested in this piece of information. After understanding that Fugaku was talking about the location of the new base of the Akatsuki organization, Homusubi gave him a deep glance and couldn't help but think, "It seems that I underestimated him." What exactly is going on in Fugaku's mind at this moment, Homusubi can more or less guess. Fugaku obviously wants to use the location of the new base of the Akatsuki organization as bait to make Amatsukami launch a raid on them. By doing so, not only will he get the opportunity to rescue his younger son Sasuke, but he will also be able to force Uchiha Shinichi to rebel against the Akatsuki organization and return back to the clan, thus enhancing the power of the Uchiha clan. So this move of his can be regarded as killing two birds. No, 3 birds with 1 stone, because aside from rescuing Sasuke and forcing Shinichi back, he also managed to use a Matsukami organization to his advantage, which up until now no one has been able to do. It can be said that Fugaku's plan is very good, and this explains his confidence in why he thinks that Homusubi will not be able to refuse, but it's a pity that there's still something that Fugaku has never taken into account. What Fugaku might have never taken into consideration is that Shisui, who is standing next to him, and Itachi, his most trusted son, are members of a Matsukami, so the so-called secret information that he wants to use as bait is something Homusubi is already aware of for quite a few days now. Therefore, Fugaku's plan wasn't meant to succeed from the start. Seeing that Homusubi did not immediately answer, Fugaku thought that his plan is going perfectly and added, "The information in my hands is absolutely true. If you feel uncertain about your strength, the Uchiha clan is willing to cooperate with the Amatsukami and act together. By combining our forces, it will be easy to destroy the Akatsuki organization." We're looking at Fugaku's serious expression. Tsukihi couldn't help thinking to herself, "You overestimate yourself. and underestimate the others, then shook her head to refuse. My answer is still the same. Fugaku didn't expect that Homusubi would refuse again, and asked in a puzzled manner, "Why?" "As for the reason, I have already told your Sandaime Hokage. If you want to know the reason, just ask him yourself," said Homusubi, and then started to leave. The moment she came next to Fugaku, she lightly whispered, "Also do me a favor and keep the fact that Uchiha Tsukihi is still alive a secret. Otherwise, meteorites might start to rain above the sky of Uchiha clan." "Is that a threat?" Fugaku asked with his eyes narrowed. "You are free to believe whatever you want. I am just telling you what will happen if you do what I don't want you to do," Homusubi said, then added, "All right then, Uchiha Patriarch-sama. I'll be taking my leave now. See you again next time." Leaving this sentence, Homusubi nonchalantly passed by Fugaku and Shisui and continued to walk toward the exit of the Konoha village. But it's a pity that before she could leave in a cool manner, another acquaintance stopped her. And the person who appeared in front of her this time was none other than Hyuga Hizashi. On top of a sentry tower, Asuma saw the Uchiha clan and the Hyuga clan privately contacting the Homusubi of Amatsukami, and complained in an unhappy tone, "The major shinobi clans are also trying to do things privately." In the current Konoha, there are uncountable unfavorable rumors circulating in regard to the Sandaime Hokage in the inner political circle, and this had made Asuma feel quite uneasy. He may not have definitive proof or evidence, but Asuma can keenly feel that an undercurrent is surging in the village, and this undercurrent might be extremely disadvantageous for Sandaime Hokage. Kakashi, who was still half covered in bandages, sighed at the state of the village and said with a thoughtful expression, "The heiress of the Hyuga clan, the son of the head of the branch division of the Hyuga clan, and the second son of the patriarch of the Uchiha clan was kidnapped in the chaos that night. Maybe all they are doing by trying to contact Amatsukami is find it to save their children. I understand that the village is also trying to save them, so they don't really have a reason to contact Amatsukami in such a manner. But a parent can never stop worrying about their child. And the more help they get, the higher the chances of saving their children. That's probably the reason they are contacting Amatsukami." Asuma sighed. "I hope it is as you say," then glanced at Kurenai from the corner of his eyes, only to find that an inexplicable expression clouded her face as she was looking at Homusubi. It seemed as if she too wants to go and talk with Homusubi about something but is hesitant. Seeing Kurenai's state, Asuma was reminded of the recent rumors he heard about Kurenai that had something to do with the Fujin of Amatsukami. His face sank, and couldn't help but say to her, "Kurenai, although Amatsukami helped Konoha and the other 4 great shinobi villages this time against the Akatsuki, there is no essential difference between them and the Akatsuki organization, so don't get confused by them." Kurenai looked at Asuma with a frowned expression and questioned, "What are you trying to say?" I just..." Being stared at by Kurenai, Asuma was at a loss. Understanding that if the two are allowed to continue in this manner, the tension between them will definitely rise, so Kakashi had no choice but to intervene and help Asuma. "Kurenai, what Asuma is saying is not completely unreasonable. An organization as mysterious and strong as Amatsukami must have its own goals and objectives. Up until now, we have only learned of the frightening objectives of the Akatsuki organization, but we have no clue about what Amatsukami's goals and objectives are. So we shouldn't let our guard down against them, because for all we know, making our guard down against them might just be the start of Amatsukami's goal." After listening to Kakashi's reasoning, Kurenai lowered her head and became silent. Seeing that the iron was hot, Asuma decided to strike. "I know that Fujin of Amatsukami saved you from Orochimaru, but Fujin is also a member of Amatsukami, not a Konoha shinobi. So it would be best if we keep our distance from them, because we never know when Amatsukami will become our enemy." Kurenai remained silent and chose not to argue with Kakashi and Asuma. Instead, she looked in the direction of Homusubi, not far away, with a thoughtful expression. As a Konoha kunoichi, Kurenai understands that Kakashi and Asuma are indeed correct. They never know when Amatsukami, which has been helping them up until now, will become their enemy. And generally speaking, Kurenai's vigilance against foreigners is no worse than anyone else. She is not the type who would desperately try to repay someone foreigner or fall in love with him just because that said foreigner happened to have saved her life. The reason why she fell in love with him after the events a few nights ago, Kurenai has come to accept her feelings and the fact that she loves Fujin, is not only because Fujin desperately tried to protect her from Orochimaru, despite all the bloody injuries he received in the process, but also because she has seen his appearance and knows that Fujin is not a foreigner, he is a Hyuga, and should have been a Konoha shinobi before leaving the village. Kurenai is more certain of her guess after witnessing Fujin's act of desperately protecting the village from the Akatsuki organization. She feels that deep down inside, Fujin must still love the village. Otherwise, he would have never gone so far as to get himself so severely injured and nearly killed just for the sake of a task. Why exactly did Fujin leave the village? Kurenai is not sure and has not been able to figure it out yet. But upon understanding the inner problems of the Hyuga clan, she feels that there must have been some unspeakable difficulties that prompted him to leave the village. But just because he left the village shouldn't mean that he hates the village, and it also doesn't mean that he is an enemy of the village or will never come back, right? Maybe someday, when this is all over, she thought as she continued to look at Homusubi in the distance. On Homusubi's side, Homusubi sighed in pity while looking at the disappearing back of Hyuga Hisashi. This time, Hyuga Hisashi came to meet Homusubi as a representative from the Hyuga clan. The purpose was obviously very clear. It is to entrust a commission to Amatsukami in regard to the rescue of the heiress of the Hyuga clan who was kidnapped by Orochimaru. As mentioned before, saving the children kidnapped by Orochimaru are much easier compared to saving the children kidnapped by the Akatsuki organization, so Homusubi had no problem accepting the commission. What's more, based on her knowledge and understanding of Orochimaru, Homusubi knows that Hinata wouldn't be in too much danger, as Orochimaru has long lost his interest in the Byakugan, because he doesn't find Byakugan to be valuable or interesting enough when compared to the Sharingan. In fact, it is not just Orochimaru, even if it is the common opinion in Konoha village or the opinion of the rest of the shinobi world, they don't find Byakugan to be any more useful than a censored jutsu. With the repeated emergence of Mangekyu Sharingan users and the appearance of the rinnegan, the fabled eyes of the Rikudo Sennin, the evaluation of Byakugan has fallen to the bottom. The Hyuga clan, which was barely keeping pace with the Uchiha clan in the past, is now nowhere near equal to the Uchiha clan. But this is not the reason why Homusubi sighed in pity. The reason she did so is that she felt pity for Hyuga Hisashi. She could clearly feel that when Hyuga Hisashi came to entrust the commission in regards to the rescue of Hinata, he wanted to offer a commission for the rescue of his son too. But for some reason he failed to speak that part and returned without mentioning anything about it. Thinking of the inner torment Hisashi's heart must be feeling at this moment for not even being able to do anything to save his beloved son, Homusubi could only sigh in pity. This is how the Hyuga clan works, and this is the fate of the members of the branch division of the Hyuga clan. Protection and safety of the main family is their top priority. Between Hinata and his son, the safety of Hinata comes first. There is no other option. No matter how much he is worried about his own son, he must first do everything to ensure the safety of the member of the main family, and for this, even if he is forced to give up on his child, then he must do so. He has no say in the matter. Such a reality is damned, and even if it is Kuroto, he really wants to change this damned situation. But Kuroto also understands that now is not the best time to make a move to change the situation of the Hyuga clan. Moreover, for the majority of the Hyuga clansmen, the cage bird Juinjutsu is more of a protection than a prison. After all, the Hyuga clan is different from the Uchiha clan, In the Hyuga clan, everyone is born with Byakugan, but not everyone has the qualification of becoming a qualified shinobi, nor does everyone want to become shinobi. There are many who just wish to live a peaceful life. In such a scenario, if there is no cage-bird Juinjutsu, the weak and the common folks of the Hyuga clan will never be able to rest in ease, as the threat of eye poachers will always linger over their heads. So, the cage-bird Juinjutsu has become something sort of a necessary evil for the Hyuga clan. Hyuga clansmen don't want it, but they need it for their own safety.